Good evening. You are watching Legal Help Desk. This show is about making the law work for you by giving legal advice on topics that matter to you. I'm Attorney Karen Jimeno.
And I'm Attorney Rod Nepomuceno. Tonight, we will discuss your legal rights on wealth management, what you need to know about managing your finances, and what you need to do to start doing so.
Our guests for tonight are Dr. Jaime Lorenzo, Executive Vice Chairman of the International Marketing Group, and Fitz Villafuerte, Registered Financial Planner. Good evening, and thank you for being with us tonight.
Good evening, Attorney Rod, Attorney Karen.
Good evening. I should say Dr. Jaime, no? Because
Yes,
you're also
yes.
a medical doctor,
Yes.
licensed medical doctor.
Yeah, medical
Yes.
doctor turned financial
Yes.
planner.
Money doctor.
So there must be a reason for that, so we'll find out.
Yes.
Sa kanya, di ba, hindi lang health is wealth. Talaga.
Yeah, wealth is wealth.
Well,
So let's start.
this is an interesting topic,
Yes.
but I guess to start off without alienating all our other viewers, would you say that wealth management is only for the wealthy people, or is this something that everyone should consider?
Wealth management is for everyone, no? Kasi whether you're earning small or you're earning big, dalawang problema lang sa pera yan eh. Kulang at sobra. Di ba?
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
So, pag
so
kulang-
before any of our viewers switch the channel to something else, baka sabihin nila hindi to applicable sa akin.
Yes.
You're clarifying that this applies to everyone, even if
Yes.
you're earning very little.
Yes.
Siguro to some extent, we can say it's kind of money management.
Oo,
in a
hindi
way,
siya
no?
wealth,
I mean,
parang money
Money
management
management.
talaga.
And everyone has one way or another a problem with money. No? So we want to,
Yes.
and we want to tell our viewers also, the reason why we're taking this up is because there are legal aspects rin in wealth management. May mga investment agreements yan, may mga taong who are minsan inviting you inviting us to mag-invest ka naman dito.
Yes.
May let's say 50% return in 30 days, mga ganong klaseng
Saka in
schemes, no?
fact, Rod,
So,
yung karamihan na nagtatanong sa akin about money management is basically are those that earn little because they need to spend their money more wisely and they need to grow their income apart from what they're
Yes,
earning.
yes.
So perhaps we can start off by talking about what type of, first of all, what is wealth
what is wealth
management,
management
tsaka
and-
what type of services does this include?
So, Fitz, you want
yeah,
to answer
Fitz,
that?
you want to answer that? Yeah.
Well, when you say wealth management, it's basically financial planning or managing your assets or your money. That's why, as earlier said, it's for everyone because all of us has money that we need to manage. No? It doesn't matter if you have lots of it or very little. The thing kasi is, it's not really how much you earn, but how much you keep and save. So that's why when you say wealth management, it goes beyond investments. It's also about budgeting, managing or minimizing your debts, and so on.
Yeah.
And what about just keeping your money in a bank? What's wrong? Is that enough money management or wealth management?
Some people kasi, di ba, we all know the line before, di ba, mag-impok sa bangko,
Sa
di ba?
bangko.
Di ba? So is that already what you would say sound financial planning, or there are a lot of other things?
Well, there are a lot of investment options. No? So basically, for short-term goals, like let's say your emergency fund, your day-to-day expenses, business operating expenses, you have to put it in the bank so that whenever you need it, you can withdraw it anytime.
Yeah.
But for example, for long-term goals, like let's say sending your kids to college, retirement, let's say 10, 20 years from now, there are several investment options, long-term vehicles for that.
Okay, let's go into that now.
Okay.
So when we're talking about financial planning, wealth management, one, emergency fund, put it in a bank para madaling i-access. It's easy to
Yes.
withdraw. But what are the other options? So for the rest of the money that you can afford to set aside, lalo na for future needs, what other options are there?
Yeah. Or maybe what's the best game plan? Or does each plan depend on what each person's priority is? Ganun ba yun?
Yeah. One common question that I get is, what's the best investment out there?
Yes. Of course, you want the best return.
Yeah, but the thing is, I always say that that's the wrong question to ask. The right question to ask is, what's the best investment that can help me achieve my goals? So when you are thinking of investments, the first thing that you should ask is, what do I want to achieve? What's my financial objective? To be more specific, when do I need to use the money, and what do I what do I plan to buy or where do I plan to spend it on? Because these objectives will be the ones that will dictate where you should invest your money.
Okay, so I guess let's start with a theoretical person. If you're working, let's say minimum wage or a little higher than that, and then of course you're just saving pa lang
You're
for
barely
a
covering,
house.
you're barely
Yeah.
covering
Yeah, so
expenses.
one, you don't
Basic
own a
needs,
house yet, but one of your long-term goals would be to own your own house.
Yes.
So what type of investments or what would be a good way to manage your finances at that point?
It's someone comes to you with essentially, yun nga, as Karen said,
Their
basic
goal
pay.
is to buy a house.
Kasi
but,
minimum wage earner.
whenever potential clients approach me for a financial plan like that, the first thing that we do is to investigate their cash flow. Because we have to be realistic.
Oh, you cannot dream na parang I
Yeah.
want to be a billionaire,
Yes.
pero your inflow is only this
That's
much.
right. That's why the first step really is to see your financial habits. And a financial planner or a wealth manager can help you analyze, are you spending more than what you're earning? So if so, then what part of your expenses can you cut so that you can live within your means?
Yes.
So that's really the first step. Then
So the first is really budget. Parang what
Budgeting.
comes in and
And
what
then
goes out.
studying your
Yes.
cash flow.
Yes.
no?
Cash
Okay.
Cash flow.
Yeah,
Exactly.
creating that surplus so that you will have money to invest.
Oo.
Okay?
Kasi
You cannot-
kung deficit ka na from the very beginning.
You cannot
Yeah.
invest.
But do you advise clients like that as well? So
Yes.
have you had clients come to you and then you find out, okay, you're actually running a deficit. So do you advise them to improve
Their cash
their
flow
cash
first.
flow? Oo.
Yeah.
Yes.
The first advice is actually to study the expenses because it's easier to lower your expenses than to increase your income.
Yeah. That's
So-
right.
Okay, very good help.
Very good. Helpful
Very
tip
good
yun.
tip,
So,
oo.
expense muna. O, ito.
Magbawas.
Nagko-coffee ka 3 times a day.
Yeah.
Because that's a good
Expenses a day,
point.
di ba?
You
Oo.
can't really adjust your
Yeah.
income right away. Pero
Yes.
expenses mo, you can really
It's easier to
improve on it.
adjust.
Oo.
Yeah.
Pwede
So
mag-save.
after
Okay,
that,
that's a
then
good point.
the next step is find extra sources of income or actually build multiple sources of income.
Okay.
So that's the next step. So once you have created that surplus, the next step is actually creating protection, no? Protecting your assets.
So the next step there. So covering your operational expenses first. The next one would be protection na.
Protection.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So explain to us protection options. Yan.
Yeah, and is this, Dr. Jaime, since we're talking about protection, is this similar to estate planning?
Not necessarily, no. So protection in financial planning is tackles more about the health insurance and life insurance.
Okay. Sige.
Because, for example, especially if you're a breadwinner, let's say you have 2 or 3 kids, so priority should be protection for the breadwinner.
Because bawal magkasakit.
Meaning you
Bawal
have to
magkasakit.
ensure
Bawal magkasakit, bawal mamatay,
Oo.
di ba?
You have to insure yourself and then have beneficiaries na
Yes.
yung mga iiwanan mo, that the ones you're
Yes, just
supporting.
in case may mangyari. tama.
Particularly kasi is you are your best source of income. So you
Yes.
protect yourself.
Yourself
Oh,
first.
kasi when you get sick, that's
Yeah.
it.
You cannot work,
Not
eh.
only are you not working, the medical expenses,
Yes,
That's right.
come
Cash
in.
out.
So,
Cash out,
so
diba?
far, we were talking about one, studying your cash
Cash
flow,
flow.
meaning you either reduce your expenses and then find other sources of income.
Make
And
more
then
money,
second,
yes.
protect the income earner.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
and then from there, where do you go from there in terms of spotting, assuming you already have extra income, how do you find investments?
For me, no, so after protection, we teach how to build a solid financial foundation. So after protection, so you have to manage your debt if you have outstanding debts, especially.
you have to pay them off as
Yes, pay off.
quick
So
as
is
possible.
that your tip, bayaran agad, or is it also helpful to sometimes augment your lack of income with loans?
Actually, you can do it at the same time, no. So
Loans in themselves are not bad.
it depends on the loan.
Okay.
So for example, if you swipe a credit card to buy, let's say, a new gadget, pero yung gadget mo is maganda pa, so that's a bad loan.
Yeah.
Diba? But if you get into loan for business, then that's a good debt.
That's a good loan. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
But maybe clarify first, we've already established this is different from estate planning. What is
Yes.
estate planning?
How different is it? Or parang subset ba? Ang financial planning ba is a subset of estate planning, or is estate planning a subset of financial planning?
Estate planning is part of wealth management or
Yes.
financial
So financial planning is the bigger,
Yes.
wealth
But when
management
you-
is more,
yeah.
Yes.
the more broad.
Estate
no?
planning actually comes much later when you have an estate to
Meaning,
to
in,
plan.
in your case, dun
Yeah.
kayo sa first step. Let's create the estate first para may
Yes.
iwanan ka dun sa mga dapat mong
Yeah,
pamanahan.
estate planning is has two purposes. The first one is to make sure that you will minimize the taxes that you will pay,
Estate
and the second one is that your assets is properly distributed to your heirs, no?
Upon the death
upon
of
your
them.
death,
Okay.
yeah.
Sige.
Alright.
Very interesting so far,
Yeah.
and we'll still discuss more. I'm really interested in the types of investment
Investments,
options
oo.
available out there. But for now, we'll have to take a short break. Legal Help Desk will return after these messages. You're still watching Legal Help Desk with our guests, Dr. Jaime Lorenzo and Fitz Villafuerte.
All right. So far we've discussed yung basic steps, no? The first steps of wealth management. We discussed na it's not just for the wealthy. It's
Yes.
also for those who are just starting off, and to summarize nga, manage your cash flow first,
Yes.
and then get a positive, and then from there this hopefully have enough for protection,
Protection,
insurance,
yes.
and then after that investment.
Yeah,
Diba?
a part of protection is also securing an emergency fund.
Yes.
Emergency fund.
Not just insurance. So health
Okay.
insurance, life insurance, and especially an emergency fund.
Emergency fund.
Sige, so let's go to the part where if you already are
May surplus na.
starting to
Yeah.
have a surplus,
May surplus na, okay.
what are the good investment options?
Yeah, ano yung, okay, let's say you have generally, let's say 20%. 20% of what's coming in, nasa set aside
Nasa
mo.
set aside
Okay.
mo.
What would be the first step that you will, or first option you would suggest?
Well, gaya nung sabi ni Fitz kanina, your investment should be tied up to a goal. No? So
Okay.
let's start with your goal. So for example,
Now, is that goal supposedly a return, an ROI? Like parang I want to
No.
get...
No.
Kasi if
What
you're,
do you want
for
to
instance,
buy?
yeah, for
Yeah.
instance,
What
you
do
want
you
to
want
buy
to
a car.
Okay.
You want to buy a car, you want to
Car.
buy your own apartment or
Yes,
house
that's
and
right.
lot.
That's one.
So how do you do that? So you're earning average income, and then of course you're starting
Let's say
to
you're
develop some
already
surplus.
properly protected.
Oo, kasi
Yeah.
yung
Yeah, you don't
expenses
have
mo. So
debts.
una, di ba, protect your health first and everything. So get insurance and
Yes.
other means of protection. But from there, how do you ensure that you get to buy that car without diluting or basically spending all your money in one go?
Well, I always tell my clients to make your goals smart. No? When you say smart, it's not just buying a car, but
Yes.
really asking yourself what type of car you're planning to buy. So you can project how much it will cost. For example, 1 million peso car in 5 years. So it has, your goals should also be time bound. Because when you have the figure and the time, as a financial planner, you can already compute possible investments that can help you achieve that goal. So if you're earning just minimum wage or a little above minimum wage, then at the very start, I can already tell my client na,
What can you afford?
yeah,
Parang
this
what-
is
what
only
house?
the money that you can afford. Or if you're willing to wait a few more years, then you can possibly afford the car that you want.
Dr. Jaime, can you give us an example wherein you have a goal, for instance, already set? Let's be specific. Kunwari nga, a car that costs 1 million and you want to pay that off in 5 years. But when you do the math, even with an amortization, it's still more than what you can afford based on your other fixed expenses.
Okay.
So what would be your advice, for instance, in terms of having another investment to add to your income, basically? You could write it like shares of stock or, I don't know. Basically, how would you advise someone like that? Do they have to forgo or do they end up having to loan in terms of augmenting nga yung lack of income?
Well, the first advice that they give, for example, control the expenses. So they have to find really additional sources of income. So that's one. So they can, for example, you,
And by that, you don't mean na extra jobs, di ba? Kasi sometimes you have a job that's already full-time. So other sources of income does not necessarily have to be jobs.
Maybe have a business
jobs
on the
or
side,
business on the side, yeah.
Okay.
We can always use our spare time,
Yeah.
let's say after work or on weekends.
Yeah.
So you can use that time productively instead of,
Correct.
The question
wasting
there
your spare
really
time.
is how important is that goal to you? Because if that goal, let's say not the car, but the college education of your child, I'm very sure that you will be more than willing to spend some of your or most of your free time working on building a business, a sideline business,
So,
or even
yeah.
having a part-time job.
So you set aside maybe that additional expense on an expensive pair of rubber shoes. Set that aside and to set aside for your
Yes.
college fund.
Yes,
Right?
yes, that's
Priorities lang, di ba?
Yes.
Now,
That's right.
from your experience, this is kind of on the side. You're dealing with Filipinos,
Yes.
Pinoys, no? The typical Pinoy. What are the usual financial habits they have which
Or detrimental.
detrimental and which require financial planning assistance talaga? Ano yung mga typical maybe bad habits of Pinoys or your customers?
Filipinos, many Filipinos, not all Filipinos, are used to spending, no? Than saving.
Parang bahala na attitude.
Bahala na. So, kumbaga, they earn, they spend, they earn, they spend, they earn, they spend, no? So,
Ano yung normally, give us maybe top 3 na unnecessary expenses?
Yes.
Oo.
pwedeng top 15 na, up to 15 to, no? Well, gadgets.
Mahilig sa
Mahilig
gadgets.
sa gadgets.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
They have
selfie
multiple-
capital of the world nga ang Makati, diba?
Yes.
We have multiple gadgets,
always
diba?
see Filipino siguro
No, but it's
kailangan
true,
may
no?
camera talaga.
No, it's true. I have admittedly I have two phones, but I'm already on the lookout for may bagong
next-
lumabas.
ako
may
hindi.
bagong
Ako
lumabas.
yung opposite
I
yan.
haven't
Okay.
yeah, that's true.
So,
Okay, that's one.
gadgets,
That's
what
one.
else?
All right.
Even if their gadget, what they're using now is still
Yeah.
working, they
Yeah.
will buy,
Okay.
just to follow the
So you put that number 1, number 2 ba yung bisyo?
Ano yung number 2?
Bisyo, vice, or
Yeah, vice.
Meaning inom,
Inom,
kain.
sigarilyo,
Labas.
labas.
Gimmick.
Yeah, I would say yung sense of pakikisama,
Yes.
or peer pressure, no, it tends to make Filipinos spend more than their budget. Like your friends are going out this weekend,
fiesta, di ba?
or fiesta
Okay.
in the provinces.
And number 3?
That would be a third parang luho of Pinoys na that they can do without in order for them to be able to set aside for investment. Ano yung
To be specific, no, sa akin, yung pampering yourself, no, sometimes it's too costly.
So that's either massages or
Spa.
pati
Massage,
mga damit.
or salon,
ganyan.
or
Rebonding.
buying trendy clothes, no, just because you want to be in. No,
In,
it's-
okay.
when in fact you can
But
have
yung
an
number
option,
2
a
talaga,
cheaper
yung
option.
sinasabi nila yung pakikisama, yung expensive na mga binyag, birthday parties,
Right.
medyo sakit ng mga Pilipino.
Oo nga. Lahat tayo. Medyo, ano.
Yeah.
Alright, yeah.
If I can also add, no, yung one problem that I've seen sa mga Filipinos is they think na you should invest only when you get extra money. No?
When in fact, you should be doing it
Regularly.
right away.
Set it
Okay.
aside.
Regularly.
All right, we have some questions from our viewers. Our first question is from Twitter, and the user is user at Arc Reynaldo. I am an OFW in Dubai, and I wish to invest the money I earned from working here for over 20 years. What are the best available options for me? He didn't mention how much, but
yeah.
I guess 20 years, that should
Actually,
be a
that's good
considerable.
that we have
Yeah.
someone asking from Dubai because OFWs earn a lot of money.
Yes,
Pero
yes.
yun yung kailangan nilang i-ensure is how do they manage that? Para pag retire nila abroad and uwi nila ng Pilipinas, they have a big
Yeah, because
cushion na.
life in Dubai is important,
Yeah.
but life after Dubai is more
Yes.
important. di ba?
Ano yung first no? Now, typically, my knee-jerk reaction, and usually it's because of all the real estate that's coming up, it's real estate property. Is that the first investment that you would have?
Well, for me, I prioritize my paper assets.
Paper assets.
Because especially if you don't have that much excess money, so prioritize
Meaning yung mga liquid.
liquid, like for example,
stocks.
mutual funds, stocks. So that's what I would prioritize.
I
So
see,
that's
okay.
your advice.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
that would also be my advice to first define your goals so that you can properly address the investments that you need. But since he's in Dubai. The thing is, if you want to invest in the Philippines, a lot of the firms, financial institutions here, require you to be physically present to open an account.
Yes.
So what I would advise is, when he comes home for a vacation, that's one of the things that he should do.
Open an account first.
Open an account, open a stock brokerage account, a mutual fund account, etc. No? But also, part of it would be educating his family when it comes to managing finances.
Yes.
Pag nagpapadala siya ng
Yeah,
Yes.
because actually that's the
Very
number one
important.
problem of OFWs. No? Their family don't really appreciate financial planning because
Kasi
they're not the
tsaka
ones.
they have this mentality na dating lang ng dating.
Yes.
Pasok lang.
Okay,
Sige.
that's very good advice. We have another question from Jeff. I own a small business, but it doesn't earn as much. Will availing myself of the services of a wealth management expert help me with my business?
Yeah.
I don't know about a wealth management expert, but I would say a business consultant.
More of a business consultant.
Yeah, more of a business consultant.
But,
But
napaka-honest ni Fritz talaga. Yeah, okay.
yeah, but
Kasi depende on the business, di ba?
Oo.
It might not be your
Correct.
expertise.
Yeah.
di ba?
That's right. The thing kasi with financial planners, parang doctor, may expertise. No? There are financial planners whose expertise is in insurance, in estate planning, in debt management, etc. So when it comes to business accounting, it's better to find an accountant who is also a financial planner or a business consultant.
Okay. Alright.
Tama ka. Always think about your goals tsaka what your needs are.
Yes.
Okay, for now, we'll have to take another short break.
Yes.
So, bitin talaga every segment, no? But don't worry, we'll be back pa after this commercial. So,
Yep.
stay tuned. We'll be back. You're still watching Legal Help Desk with our guests, Dr. Jaime Lorenzo and Fitz Villafuerte.
All right, we have more questions from our viewers. Let's see. Emilio is asking, how will wealth management help me control and pay back my debts? Yan, medyo problema yung debts di ba? Papabigat yan
Totoo.
So,
And control
Yeah,
din yung sinasabi niya. So, I guess another goal would be to stop lending, borrowing money.
Yes.
yeah.
Well, basically in money management, bottom line is you have to start with the financial discipline, really.
But you have to prioritize paying your debts, di ba?
Yes,
Hindi mo
yes.
pwedeng, right? So, in financial planning, but do you prioritize that? Okay, you have to set aside para sa utang mo.
Yes, set aside some money to pay off your debts.
Okay.
So,
And I guess, go ahead.
Yeah, most Filipinos kasi when they receive their paycheck or income, so they spend first, pay all the bills, then what's left, they save they save it. No? But most of the time, wala na natitira. So baliktarin mo lang yung formula. So once you receive your income, so save first, or that money you set aside, you can use that to pay off your debts. Then bago mo, what remains, yun yung pang lifestyle mo, pagkasyahin mo.
In relation to that, debts, no? Let's say credit card debt. I get a lot of people asking me about that, no? Minsan,
Yes.
na-max out na nila,
Yes,
that.
yes.
Say, people like that, no? And not only here, no? Also in the States, main
Yes.
problem nila yan kasi
Yes.
they're kind of a credit society.
Yes.
Let's say someone has maxed out his or her card, and talagang hindi niya hirap na siya in managing her daily, or his or her daily operational expenses. And then nagbabayad pa siya ng credit card, ang laki. How do you normally go about planning that out, yung payment scheme?
In my case, talagang babalik sa basic.
Yes.
What are your expenses? What are the
Basic
expenses
needs.
that you can cut? No?
Cash flow.
Now, if you have, if that's not enough, then you have to bite the bullet. What are the things that you own that you can sell?
Yes.
Okay?
Dapat sacrifice talaga.
Yeah, you have to
Sacrifice.
sacrifice.
Oh, you
no?
can't,
And then find a way to make extra income. So those are the only way. No? Another advice that I sometimes give is ask for borrow money from your relatives, because your relatives
will not charge you.
will not charge you interest. But you have to be able to
Religiously pay them.
Yeah, religiously pay them.
But okay, on the other side of the coin, since we're talking about wealth management, I've encountered some people that part of their bad financial planning is having to support not only their own family, but their relatives
Yes,
as well.
yes.
And sakit din ng mga Pilipino yan eh. It's hard for them to say no
Yes.
to family, relatives,
Yes,
and
yeah.
friends.
Yes.
So have you encountered that you're advising them that stop supporting your
Yes.
30-year-old child or your aunt or your best friend or whatever? So
Yeah.
how do you manage that?
Actually, one of the things that I always tell parents is that your children is not your retirement plan. Okay? So you have to build your wealth on your own.
On your own. But you don't have to be too dependent.
Yes, but the number one advice I tell them is you have to learn tough love. Okay? You have to remember you cannot help somebody if you yourself is in a financial mess. Okay? So if helping them financially will put you in a financial mess, then you're just doing a short-term solution to a potential long-term problem. So it's hard at first to refuse them, but there are other ways to help them, not just lending them money. You can probably help them manage their own finances. Okay? You can probably help them find extra income. Okay? So helping them doesn't just mean giving them
Yeah.
money.
No, you're saying earlier that the augmenting of income, di ba? Yung additional business on the side. And there are a lot of people, and this is where the legal aspect comes in. No? There are a lot of people who are proposed schemes, or should I say scams, wherein, okay, you're going to invest something here and we're going to give you a 50% return in 30 days. Now, as advisors, what would you normally tell clients? Ano yung mga red flags na, pag ganong klaseng scheme, medyo you gotta watch out. Don't
Yes.
invest in these schemes. And there's where the legal aspect comes in because may mga legal cases that have been brought to us, to our attention.
Either
Diba?
estafa
Mga
or
ganong estafa, no?
Yes.
illegal
So,
pyramiding. What would be your
What are the
advice,
red
Dr.
flags?
Jaime?
Ano yung mukhang hindi tama tong investment na to?
Well, that's one. No? Put extensive, very high returns in a short period of time. That's one. So
What would you consider a high return in a short period of time? Kasi of course, there are 50% return in 30 days, there's 20% return in 30 days, there's a 10% return in 3 months. What would be a reasonable return na parang, okay, mukhang hindi naman scam to.
Legitimate, yeah.
around 5%.
5% a month is...
That's reasonable.
That's really
reasonable.
high though, no?
That's high.
Kasi-
That's high. That's high.
Oo.
For example, if the market is good, so mutual funds or
Yeah.
the stock market can go as high as 60% in 1 year. So divided by 12 months,
Are
approximately
those,
5%.
how would you view those mga mutual funds, equity funds, bond funds that are being sold right now by several banks out there? Are they good investments?
I would say they're very good investments because, well, I would like to come back to your question. No? How do you know if it's a scam?
Yeah.
So, more than the rate of return that they're promising you, that's the first red flag. If they're guaranteeing returns, then that's actually a red flag because all investments have risks.
Yes.
So the number 2 red flag is they cannot tell you where the money will be invested. They have to be able to
Tell you.
explain to you thoroughly how the money will grow. Okay? If
Maybe a product that's being sold,
Yeah.
or it's being re-loaned.
Yeah,
Yes.
a lot of scams, they just say na, you invest here, we will use the money to grow a farm somewhere in the province. But you have to do due diligence. Is there really a farm there?
Yes.
Yeah. Sometimes they will just show you an SEC, but it's so easy to get an
Yes.
SEC.
Scams do that.
Yeah.
So don't fall for the when they show you
to
the
our
legal
viewers
documents,
out
it's
there,
already
an SEC registration by itself is not reliable.
yes.
Yes.
You have
For-
to. It's your
to
hard-earned
show.
money. So
But minsan, I know that sometimes the credibility of the firm is also important. But let's face it, 2009, we had companies like Bear Stearns, di ba?
Lehman Brothers
Lehman Brothers,
went
di ba?
bankrupt,
all got bankrupt, and because of that subprime mortgage,
Yes.
no?
Yeah, subprime.
And people lost their shirts. People
Yeah, but
lost a
okay,
lot, no?
we're talking about institutions. Yung
Oo.
sub-funds nga, you have usually reputable banks selling those. Are those good investments? Because one of the things that I notice is that they don't thoroughly explain to either potential investors or depositors the fact that they charge a management fee.
Yes.
So they usually just show the historical performance na, you can earn
Yes.
30%. Kasi they're showing the track record for the past 3 years, for instance, when the initial investments or the returns were unusually
right.
high. So maybe this is a good opportunity for our viewers to be enlightened.
The same way that there are bad doctors and there are good doctors, there are also good financial planners, and there are also bad financial planners. No? So if a financial planner or wealth manager is just giving you the returns that you can potentially earn without explaining to you the risk and all the fees that you need to pay when you invest in this product, then I would say that go find another
Okay, so good
planner.
advice, because even if you have your own bank offering you this type of investment, make sure it's still that they explain to you where the money will be spent.
So basically, anyone who says to you, guaranteed ito yung return, you
that's a
should
scam.
get it.
That's
That's a
a
scam.
scam, yeah.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, pag may nagsabi sa inyo, guaranteed ito yung return, scam yan.
Okay, we have another question from Franco. What are your tips when it comes to looking for financial advisors or wealth managers? What should I look for, and how will I know if they are credible or not? Okay, this is
Good
already
question. Yeah, we were
your
discussing that.
question.
Is it necessarily the brand name? I mean, we have certain brand names na malaki, di ba?
The thing is, wealth managers or financial planners earn two ways. Okay, the first one is they ask for a fee for the financial plan. The second one is they give the financial plan for free, but in exchange, they will earn commission from the product that they will sell you.
Yes.
Okay.
Again, as I've said, that's what
Yeah.
one thing I've noticed about several of these products, yung mga mutual funds, equity funds that are being sold by either banks or insurance companies. They usually don't explain to the
Yeah.
people that they deduct management fees
That's right.
every month or every quarter or annually, and they don't say that, no?
So how do you know if you have a good financial planner or wealth manager? Well, number one is you have to see if they are putting your interest up front. No?
Yes.
They're not doing it for their commission. Okay? So how do you do that? You look for financial planners that have certifications. In the Philippines, there's a Registered Financial Planners Institute. Doc Jaime is also with Certified Financial Educators. So there are certifying bodies already in the country that can give proper training, and these institutions have ethics that
You need to
follow.
follow.
Yes.
All right. Okay. We have one last question, and it's from James. What if I don't like the advice given to me by my wealth manager? Can I ask for a return of my investments? It's an
Good
interesting
question.
Okay.
Minsan nagkakasisihan pa yan.
Kunyari,
I didn't make much money.
You advised them on particular
Yeah.
stock and all that, and it didn't turn out that way. Meron ba ganun? May return ba of
Well,
guaranteed?
depende sa investment kung saan siya nag-invest. No? For example, kung in-advise siya mag-invest dito sa mutual fund na ito or sa stock na ito at bumagsak or whatever happened, so liquid naman yan eh. Pwede niya kunin.
Pwede niya kunin.
Yeah,
No,
sure.
but
But I guess it
pwede niyang
depends if it's going to be
loss.
at
At
a
a loss,
loss.
malamang, at the time. So, but yun nga, lagi natin sinasabi whenever we do trainings, whenever we talk to people, you can always seek advice from, financial planners, financial experts, but ultimately, the best financial advisor is yourself.
Yes.
You know your situation best.
Yes, at saka sigurado, you won't fool yourself, di ba? Hindi mo loloko yung sarili mo. So,
Alright.
So you have to really be prepared of the risk.
You have to
Invest-
educate yourself.
invest in your
The
financial
financial
education.
planners there are only there to guide you, but ultimately it is you who will make the decision.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, very helpful so
Very
far,
helpful.
but unfortunately we ran out of time.
I know. We're always
Ang bilis
shortchanged,
talaga, yes.
especially in this episode.
Yes,
we're
but I'd
shortchanged.
like to thank our guest here, Dr. Jaime.
You're welcome,
And
Torrin
Fitz, thank
Yeah.
you so much. And I hope to maybe have them again
Yeah, we
next
should have a
time.
part 2.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah,
Let us know.
Maybe more on the estate planning side, perhaps. All right. Okay.
Yeah, thank you again. And I hope that a lot of our viewers there were enlightened and they ensured basically that even if you don't have a lot of money, actually you need to start financial planning from day one, meaning when you're trying to grow your assets. So we hope this discussion today helped. Legal Help Desk will return after this short break. Welcome back to Legal Help Desk. And our topic for tonight
That's fun,
is,
no? It's really
yeah,
cool.
and I think it's applicable to everyone
Yes.
without everyone knowing it, because
Yeah.
they think when you say wealth management, it's only for the wealthy.
Yeah.
But
Not
as
not just for the likes of yourself.
no, that's not true. But as we've learned tonight, it's really even for those who want to build an estate, or if you really have problems, cash flow problems, it's really time to do wealth management, or I guess a better term for it would be financial planning. Because as kanina si Fitz explained to us, if you're having problems with your cash flow, what they also look at would be your expenses and how to reduce your expenses, how to reduce the unnecessary expenses. Kanina,
Yeah.
yung mga top 3, kasama na dyan yung
Gadgets.
overindulgence in gadgets and going
Overindulgence
out.
in self-indulgence. Mga
Yes,
ganun, mga
and
self-indulgence.
of course, overspending when you're out with friends.
Correct, yeah.
or-
Because if you add that all up, minsan di mo napapansin na you're spending here, spending there, one coffee here, one labas here. And after a while, you don't realize that you're spending a lot.
Yeah,
So
so
I think-
number one kanina, number one tip was first look at your cash flow. What expenses are unnecessary? And then after that, look at your income. Is it sufficient? And if it is not, then how do you increase your income?
Yeah, that's right. So, and after you have a little bit, we've determined na meron kang konting cash flow, or I mean, surplus, no? The first thing, according to our guests earlier, si Fitz and Jaime, is that you first seek and protect yung protection, no? Yung health insurance and life insurance, kasi that's important, no? Because obviously, if something happens to you, if you get sick, it could really drain you financially, no? And then after that, after covering that, then you can talk about yung mga investments. And there are various options, stocks, obviously, and mga mutual funds and all that. But I think it's the key to remember is that never allow yourself to be fooled easily. No? As they mentioned earlier, you will not fool yourself. So therefore, you have to, in a way, your gut feel then, if you really can trust the scheme that's being presented to you. Kasi hindi pwede yung mga high returns in short periods of time, like 50% return of your money.
Yeah.
In
So
30 days,
basically,
no?
there are red flags as to what would be a good or a bad investment, and usually bad investments, or those that are not legitimate, are those that offer very high returns, and second, those that cannot explain where your money will be spent. So
Yan.
in looking for a good financial manager or advisor as well, look for someone that will explain to you thoroughly where your money will be used and how that money will be earned, whether it's a type of company that also manufactures or also invests or lends money. Those are things that should be explained to you. So if it's very vague, sasabihin lang kayo na 30% return in 3 months or in a month without knowing where the money will go, then this is a big red flag. And again, as we were advised tonight, having an SEC registration that they show to you is not sufficient to give them credibility as to whether it's going to be a good investment or whether they're a legitimate financial advisor.
And at the point to remember also that every investment has its risks. So yung financial planner nyo should be able to mention what those risks are. Kasi if someone comes to you and says, guaranteed you will get 5% in a month or 10% in a month, that is, you don't believe that. Because anyone who guarantees without any risk is basically fooling you. All right? Okay, so over the week, we have received some questions and comments from our viewers on topics that have previously been discussed. Our first question is from Micah, and she asks, my friend got married 2 years ago. His wife left him 2 days after their wedding to go abroad. Their marriage was not consummated. The wife wants their marriage to be dissolved. Should they file for an annulment given that they didn't consummate their marriage?
Well, unfortunately
Yeah.
for your friend, this is
Yeah.
not a ground for annulment.
Yeah, yung consummation.
Yes, consummation.
Or the lack
So,
of. Or the lack of
again,
consummation.
our only ground for annulment would be one, psychological incapacity. Although yung lack of consummation of marriage, I've seen in some Supreme Court cases, this can be an indication of psychological incapacity. Again, it can be an indication, but it's not conclusive. So if your friend is going to file for annulment, she or he would still have to get yung psychological report to determine if this is a ground for annulment. And other grounds for declaration of nullity would be, for instance, if either one of them is underage or walang marriage license. So those are the things that makes the marriage defective, and in which case there can be declaration of nullity of marriage.
Or bigamous marriage, no? It was a bigamous marriage. But in this case kasi, 2 days after she got married, she left. There could be an indication of psychological capacity there. Again,
Pero
but you have to
hindi siya
prove
ground,
you have to
yeah.
prove that, no? You
And
have to
if
prove the
all
psychological
else
capacity.
fails, meaning walang ground for declaration of nullity or annulment of marriage, leaving, meaning 2 days after the marriage and this spouse already left and never went back, that's abandonment. And this is a ground for legal separation.
Okay.
Our next question is from Kathy. I have a 3-year-old daughter from a previous relationship, and she bears his name. I am now engaged to a French national, and he is willing to adopt my child. But the embassy requires that I have full custody of my child. I tried searching for my ex to sign the needed documents, but cannot find him since it's been years since we last spoke. Does he still have a right over my daughter since he carries his name? And what can I do as a remedy for my situation?
She didn't mention that if they're married. She just said
No, hindi daw talaga, I think. Kasi
Hindi sila
parang
married.
from an ex.
From a previous relationship.
And the thing is, she kept emphasizing here that the baby or the child carries the father's name. But just to clarify, if you're not married, the child is still illegitimate. Meaning that regardless of the fact that the child carries the surname of the father, the fact that the child is illegitimate, that would give the parental authority to the legitimate mother, meaning to you. So, in effect, you should have full custody of the child unless meron silang separate agreement that gave shared custody
Yeah. And
to
she
you
didn't mention
and the
how old the
father.
child is, no?
Oo.
Did she mention
Well,
how old the child is if it's
wala naman. But
below 7 years old?
usually
Presumption is
that's irrelevant
Yeah.
if you have 3-year-old kasi yung daughter
3-year-old.
pala kanina.
Okay.
Pero that's really irrelevant if
they're
if it's an
illegitimate.
illegitimate
Yeah.
child, because the custody should be with the mother. So make sure na kung wala naman kayong ibang agreements, and you should be able to get yung papers necessary to prove that you have full custody of your child. But second, if that's the case, then your French fiancé should be able to adopt your child. But you have to follow the rules on inter-country adoption, because you have
There
a
are some
French
specific rules.
national adopting a Filipino child.
There are specific rules on that, no? On adopting, foreigners adopting children of Filipinos. All right? All right, let's move on to the comments we received from Hadiel Vipinosa. She says, or he says, we like watching your TV program. It is very informative. Thank you.
What a good comment.
Yes.
And we have another one from Hill. I'm an avid fan of your show. It's good to have a show like yours so that we can all be aware of our rights and remedies provided by law.
All right. Thank you very much, Hill.
It's really touching.
Yep, that's all the time that we have for tonight. We'd like to thank our viewers, you, who sent us your legal questions via social media. I'm Attorney Rod Nepomuceno.
And I'm Attorney Karen Jimeno. If you have any questions about our topic for tonight, you may post these on our Facebook and Twitter pages. Join us again next Monday as we discuss your legal rights. Good night.